All right, Matt here with BuiltRight Industries. Today we're going to walk you through the installation of our 2021 F-150 and Raptor Dash Mount Pro. It should take you a half hour to an hour depending on how quickly you're moving. As far as tools, you're going to want an 1/8 inch Allen wrench, a 7mm socket and ratchet, a 3/8 inch socket or wrench, an 1/8 inch drill bit, a 3/8 inch drill bit, of course a drill, and then a set of trim tools is helpful when prying on your interior plastics. So let's jump into it. All right, so the first step is to remove the rubber tray in your dash tray. It'll either look like this if you've got a center channel speaker or be a bit larger if you don't. And then we're going to go ahead and put masking tape around the edges of our dash. This is optional, but I like to protect the dash surfaces when you're prying on them from getting marked up. So this inside edge here is helpful if you're going to use it to pry for the speaker grill. And then we're going to remove that speaker grill. We happen to be able to slip a finger under the edge there and pry it all the way off. And then you'll just work from one side to the other. It helps if your dash is warm. So if you're in a freezing cold area, good to warm up the car a little bit, loosen up the plastics a bit. But these should all pull straight up. Pop off. You can see there are 8 of those little clips. And go ahead and set that aside. Now we're going to use a 7mm socket to remove the 2 bolts on either side of the center channel speaker in this case, or if you don't have a center channel speaker, those 2 bolts will be in the same location. Make sure you don't lose those. Of course, you're going to need those for reinstallation. So the next step we're going to do here is to remove the tray itself. We're going to start by prying on the front edge. Again, you can see we've used tape to protect the dash. And we're using a set of plastic trim tools here to keep from marring the surface. You may be able to get a fingertip under there, a pick tool, a screwdriver, whatever you're comfortable with. And then once again, it's going to be a series of the same types of clips that require a pull up to disengage. You're going to hear them pop out, and then you can work your way around from the front to the back, around the edge, popping them up. Again, this is where it helps to have your interior a little bit warm so that the plastics are not quite so brittle. Helpful to imagine the clips pulling straight up out of the dash so that you're not twisting and turning and prying and essentially trying to break them off by using leverage. We're really just trying to pull them straight up. So if you've got a set of hands or an extra set of hands even to reach under, that can be helpful too. But showing you this full-length video here just so that you understand it. It is a little bit of a process. It's okay to take your time. It's going to feel like you're breaking stuff, but if you just pull straight up, you'll be fine. If you have that center channel speaker, go ahead and unplug the harness there. And then we're going to move to the workbench. Again, I'm using tape here to protect this top edge because we're going to flip it over and kind of be leaning on it a bit. I just hate when there's little scratches and stuff in my dash, so this is an easy step to take. Now we're going to take a good look at the bottom of the tray here. You're going to notice on some trucks there is a model of this tray that has these 2 nubs on it. If you have those 2 nubs, you're going to want to trim them off if they interfere with your support plate. So on a Dash Mount Pro, you have a support plate. These nubs can be in a couple of different locations. We'll show you in a minute here where the support plate goes approximately so that you know. But if they are interfering with the support plate, you will want to trim them off. We use a Dremel, a rotary tool, I suppose, in Milwaukee in this case. You might use a knife or a saw. It's pretty soft plastic. So then we're going to go back and just clean it up with a knife so it's nice and flat. And this is the result. Now here's where the support plate goes. Approximately, I say approximately because we're going to go and mock it up in the truck. We do want to remove a little bit of this lower ribbing just to make drilling those holes more straightforward. So we held the support plate up there. You can just kind of use this video as a reference, but we're going to use a sharp knife to just pull some of that off. We're taking it nice and easy here for the sake of the video, but it's going to be a quick process if you got a sharp knife. After filming this, when we went to drill the larger holes, we ended up actually taking a little bit more material out of that particular corner. So there's no harm in removing some of that and leaving yourself plenty of room. We'll do the same thing up at the top. And then on the passenger side of the vehicle. It's worth noting while you're watching this that the dash tray is not perfectly symmetrical. So the grid pattern that you see there is not necessarily in perfect alignment with the front bezel of the radio. That's because the center radio, although it looks like it's centered and pointing straight back, it is angled towards the driver just a bit. So if your holes look like they're a little bit crooked, they may actually not be. All right, so the next thing we're going to do is place a piece of masking tape approximately over where those support bracket holes will align. This masking tape is going to make the next step easier, which is to mark those holes for drilling. You might ask why we don't include a printed drilling template, and that is just because we found that sometimes creates more confusion or opportunity for error than just using the parts themselves as the template. So just to demonstrate here. Now it's worth noting that the two holes that are closest to the front of the vehicle on the sides of the support bracket, we're putting the hardware in here, those are actually optional on the Pro mount. Those are more for the standard mount, and we did just add those to the support bracket here to make it a possibility for those that want to use them. But you would be just fine to use the center hole as well as the two forward holes on the support bracket towards the front of the vehicle to support your Dash Mount Pro. Again, that fourth and fifth hole are really for the non-pro, the standard dash mount users that need to rely on the attachment to the dash mount tray. In our case here, we're relying on attachment to the support bracket. And the 5 bolts is just overkill. So we installed some of the hardware here upside down. Those 3 bolts are going to be pointed towards the top of the vehicle. And we're going to slip them under the loosened bolts here above the radio. And we're going to push the bracket all the way towards the front of the car. This is an important step. Push the bracket all the way towards the front of the car and tighten it back down. And now we're going to rely on that hardware making a mark in the tape that we've put on the tray. And that's going to give us very, very close alignment with where we want to drill this tray. We use the hardware towards the rear of the vehicle. Those 2 bolts here that I told you were optional. We are going to use all 5 here just for the sake of the install. But again, you do not need to use those 2 necessarily. So in pushing that down, we did manage to engage those front clips again. Pull that out. Again, showing you the long version here, just it's okay to be patient with that. All right, so if you take a really close look, you're going to see little indents, imprints. That is where you're going to want to mark. We're going to go through and mark it with a marker here just to make it easier to see as we're drilling. Throw an 1/8 inch bit into our drill and make those holes. We're drilling here, again, is one of the ones that I mentioned is optional. If you were opting not to use those, you would just have marked the forward 2 holes rather than the rear. We're going to go ahead and mark those forward 2 holes after drilling here using the dash mount. So we're going to set the dash mount in place. And we're just going to use our bit here to mark where we want to drill that next hole. Then we're going to go through, we're going to use a larger drill bit, 3/8 inch bit, to open up each of these holes. Give us a little bit of wiggle room as we reinstall everything. Give us good visibility on the threaded inserts that are in the support plate. You may opt to drill these larger or smaller depending on your level of confidence, but rest assured that with a 3/8 inch bit, the install is still nice and clean. The bracket covers everything up. Take a quick look at the front here. If your drill left any burrs, now's a good time to just tidy those up. Make sure that the dash mount itself is sitting nice and flat with the tray. Go ahead. We're going to go in the vehicle. We're going to remove the support bracket just to remove that upside down hardware. So we'll loosen these two. We'll slide that out. And we'll remove the hardware. One option during installation is to leave the hardware in there like as if they're studs. Set the dash mount on top of it and then install the nuts. We prefer the cleaner look, but that is certainly an option. Now we're going to finally reinstall the support bracket, again pushing it all the way towards the front of the vehicle. You can see that the washer there matches up nicely. If you find or feel that the washer is preventing you from pushing the support bracket all the way towards the front of the car, you might consider pulling it out and shaving it down flat. Just right there. But again, we didn't do that and haven't had any issues. All right, so now we're going to reinstall the dash tray for the final time. Make sure you hook your center channel speaker back up. Then maneuver the tray into place, and we will re-engage all of the spring-loaded clips. Starting in the front, working our way back. Now you're going to be able to look straight down. Sometimes you might use a phone to look straight down if you can't get your head in there, but you may need to trim your holes a little bit so that you can make sure you see the threaded inserts. You're going to set your dash mount in place. And then it's a little bit tight, but with a ball end 1/8 inch Allen key, you should have no trouble installing the front screw and then the 2 rear screws. The other 2 screws that are forward, those are again optional. It can be a tough reach, but again, just like we're showing here with a ball end Allen key. All right, you're almost done now. Just reinstall those 2 7mm head screws towards your center channel speaker, and then reinstall the speaker grill if applicable. Should snap right back into place. And you're all set. You're free to install your mounts, accessories, and so on. We'd love to see pictures. If you've got questions, please reach out via email or phone, and we'll look forward to hearing from you.